ስተኛ ያን ይመጣብኛል ታየልብኛል አቃጭኛል ያው ጆሮዬ እንደዛው ዱዱዱዱ ነው የሚልብኝ
To keep her identity hidden, we will name the storyteller Ababu. Ababu, a 60-year-old mother of one, is a survivor of gender-based violence.
መቼም በወዴ በጥራት አይድረስ መቼም ሀለፈ ደግ እንጂ እሳቸው ከባድ ነገር አለፈብን
In the city of Mersa, North Wello zone of Amhara region, another woman is fighting the same battle.
እኔ መርሳን በጣም ነው የምወዳት በጣም ትመቸኛለች በጣም ትመቸኝ ከተማ ናት
Mersa is a vibrant city, always in motion. But it wasn't like that 10 months ago, remembers Samira, another survivor who also wants her identity hidden.
ምንም ነገር የለም ወፍ ራሱ አታገኝ ድመቱ ሮቦት ሲሄድ ነው የምታየው
Samira is talking about the time of conflict in Northern Ethiopia when the Tigrayan forces invaded the city of Mersa. During the conflict, almost everyone fled, while those who couldn't stayed behind. Both Samira and Ababu are single moms who had a tough time raising their children. Both women stayed behind while many others fled their homes. In August of 2022, the Tigrayan forces took control of Mersa.
አንቺ ሁልሽ ነው ተቀመሻ በሽተኛ ነኝ መቼም እናንተ ልጆች ናችሁ እኔም ባልቴል ነኝ አልኳቸው አሁን ስራቸው አውልቂ ሱሪሽ ነው ስተራ ተጠቃሚ ነኝ ብዬ አመሰጋው ሊጋልገት ከይናው አሳያቸው ከይናው ሳሳያቸው አይድልን ሞት አንዴልን ነሽራ ይመጣው ነው አሉኝ ሲሉኝ አሁን ጣላረገኝ ጣልስ ያረገኝ አንሳ አሁን ያን ሀሳው ተከራኝ ሲገናኝ ያንኛው ደግሞ ሀበሩ ያለው ያንኛው ሰጥቶ ደግሞ ያን ደግሞ ተሰይደከም ሲዲያከም ወጣቱ ጥሎኝ ሄዱ ሁለቶቹ ሶስተኛው ከበት ቢል ድከመ ቢያ እንደዲም ነገር አምጥቻለሁ እየተርበኝ ተቶኝ ወጥቶ ሄደ
ናሴ 21 ላይ 12 ሰዓት መጡ ከዛ ግቢ ያለኝ አንዱ እሺ ብዬ ነው የገባሁት ለካ መጠቀም ነው የፈለገው 14ቱም እየተፈራረቁ ገባሽ ልጆቼ አንዱ ሲመጣው አንዱ ብስኩት ይሰጣዋል አንዱ ጁስ ይሰጣዋል እየተፈራረቁ ከጧት እስከ ማታ ድረስ 10 ሰዓት ድረስ ግንጥልጥል አድርገው እንደዶሮ መጨረሻ ፌንት ስበላባቸው ተተውኝ የተሳሳቁ
After the assaults, both Samira and Ababu spent the next 4 months without proper medical treatment. In the conflict-ridden regions of northern Ethiopia, many people lost their lives, their livelihoods, and their homes. But the conflict has brought women and girls an even more demoralizing outcome, as they have long suffered from gender-based violence. UN Women has worked in Ethiopia for many years to empower women and promote gender equality.
You know, the Central Emergency Response Fund that we shorten as CRSV project is one of the most important and prominent projects globally that help in responding to emergencies. It's mostly for the survivors of sexual and gender-based violence in time of conflict.
During the conflict, the focus shifted to addressing the widespread and systematic use of gender-based violence. This includes sexual, physical, psychological, domestic, and other forms of violence.
UN Women was the recipient, the main recipient of the CERF program. And as recipients, UN Women mostly works through implementing partners.
UN Women works towards the goal of providing survivors and those at risk of gender-based violence with multi-sectoral services and livelihood opportunities, amplifying their voices and participation in their homes and their communities, and offering shelter to survivors. One of the project's focuses is giving the survivors a sanctuary in what they call the Safe House. This is one of the safe houses led by the Association for Women's Sanctuary and Development, or AUSAD, These women who are getting sanctuary at the safe house are performing a play that shows gender-based violence in households.
ሴፍ ሃውስ ማለት የተጠበቀ ሰላማዊ ማረፊያ ቤት ማለት ነው።
The project focuses on providing survivors and those at risk of gender-based violence with holistic rehabilitation and reintegration support to provide women and girl survivors with a transitional women's-only shelter, psychological counseling, legal aid, and economic empowerment. This aid helps women like Ababu and Samira to emerge from the darkness.
እንደመጡ ወዲያው የሚያስፈልጋቸው ህክምናም ነበር እንዲረጋጉ ካደረግን በኋላ ወዲያው ወደ ህክምና ቦታ ነው ይዘናቸው ይሄድነው ሆስፒታል አለ ወልዲያ ሆስፒታል ዋን ስቶፕ ሴንተር እዛው ስለሚሰራ በተከታታይ ህክምና እንዲያገኙ አድርገናቸው
እሳቸው ተባብረው አሳክመው እንደገና አስቀድደው አሰፍተው ያንና ቆርጠው እንዲም ብለው ሰደዱኝ
ይወጋኝ ነበር ይምብርት እንደገና እንትን ስቲሽ ነበርኩ ሰው ለሱ ፈንድቷን እሱናም በጨው የታጠብኩ ይገጠመ ዳው
Under the CERF project, UN Women supported Ausad to open 2 safe houses in Waldia and Kobo and provided a comprehensive survivor support to more than 700 female survivors of sexual and gender-based violence and conflict-related sexual violence.
ሴፍ ሃውስ ያው የሴቶች ማረፊያ ልማት ማህበር ጥቃት የደረሰባቸውን ሴቶችና ህፃናት ተቀብሎ የመጠለያ የምግብ የህክምና የምክር እንዲሁም ደግሞ ከጉዳታቸው ሲያገግሙ የተለያዩ የሙያ ክህሎታቸው ታይቶ በዛ ውስጥ ስልጠና እንዲያገኙ ባለሙያ ታግዘው ይደረጋል የምክር አገልግሎት ስንል አንዲት ሴት ወዲያው እንደመጣሽ ሊሆን ይችላል እንደ ኬዟ አገልግሎቱን የምታገኘው ካልሆነ ደግሞ አረፍ ብላ ወዲያው ኢንዲቪጁዋል ካውንስሊንግ ጀመራል በሴሽን እንደ ቆይቷ ሴሽን እየተያዘ በሳምንት 2 ቀን ያን አገልግሎት እንድታገኝ ይደረጋል ግሩፕ ቴራፒ በሳምንት 1 ቀን ያንን ቴራፒ ይሰጣል
Getting to the shelter, you find it's a home. They make it a home because of the care, because of the service that they receive from there.
እዚህ ነው ተደስቸው ሁሉም ረስቸው ወጣው ሲጀመር ደስ ብሎኝ ህሊናዬን አሳምኘው እዚህ ሁሉንም ነገር እዚህ ጥዬው ሄድኩ በቃ ከዛ ሰዓት ጀምሮ ፍሪ ነው በቃ አይዞሽ ምንም ያለብሽ ናሽረሻል ምንም ልሻል ያሉ የመከሩኝ ተንከባከሙ በሳቸው ላይ ነው ጭንቅላቴ መስተካከል ያዘው ሊዞር ፈልጉ ነበር
UN Women also supported Ausad to provide over 250 female survivors of sexual and gender-based violence and conflict-related sexual violence with livelihood support, including seed funding to reintegrate into their communities, rebuild their destroyed businesses, and skill training.
They reach a time when they can reintegrate the community. And even after reintegrating the community, UN Women and partners, we don't leave those survivors alone. We give them accompaniment, mostly through livelihood support.
As part of the Global Central Emergency Relief Fund grant program, the support that the project offers survivors and those at risk of gender-based violence, including multi-sectoral services and livelihood opportunities, helps them get back on their feet financially.
Livelihood support, the financial startup, is mostly has been given to women survivors of gender-based violence who before the conflict they were engaged in income generating activities like business.
With financial and psychological support, women can become stronger, cope with their trauma, and be courageous for a better future.
ንብረቴንም ሰጡኝ አልሐምዱሊላህ ያቸው ቁጭ ብዬ የሸኩኝ ቁጭ ብያለሁ
ለቺ ልጅ ምን ነበረች ዛሬ ምን አግኝታ ነው እንደዚህ የምትሰራ ይሉኛል ሰሳራ ታገኝ እኔ ይገርመኝ ሰርቼ መለወጥ እንዳለብኝ ነው እንኳን ተረፍኩ ልጆቼን እንኳን አላጣሁ እንኳን አልሞትኩ
Access to justice is critical for survivors of gender-based violence. It gives them the opportunity to seek justice and hold their perpetrators accountable.
The legal aid support is, I would say it's twofold. One, the survivors of gender-based violence, they receive justice. And also in terms of legal services, there is an outreach. Because there are even many survivors out there who are not even aware of the services and who are not even aware of where to go to seek justice.
Through the project, UN Women worked with the Ethiopian Women Lawyers Association, or EWLA, to provide legal aid to survivors of sexual gender-based violence
and communities and offering shelter to survivors. This is giving the survivors of gender-based violence a sanctuary they call the Safe House. UN Women with AUSAD works on providing survivors and those at risk of gender-based violence with holistic rehabilitation and reintegration support.
This includes training local lawyers on how to effectively advocate for the rights of survivors and help survivors access justice, to seek legal recourse,
psychological counseling, legal aid, and economic empowerment.
UN Women supported EWLA to set up mobile legal aid clinics and IDP sites in Amhara and provide free legal aid to over 205 female survivors of sexual and gender-based violence and conflict-related sexual violence. Furthermore, EWLA trained 211 service providers working in the justice system as part of the referral pathways for survivors on survivor-centered legal aid. UN Women works with local women-led organizations to increase their capacity through technical and financial assistance.
CERF program had two components. The first component, provision of survivor-centered holistic services that I've mentioned about. The second one is capacity development of women's-led and women's rights organizations.
The project helps these women-led organizations by conducting workshops and trainings. BEZA is one such organization that is based in the city of Desse.
ደቡብ ወሎ ሰሜን ወሎ እዚህ አካባቢ ላይ ፕሮጀክቶችን በተለይ ጀንደር ቤዝ ያደረገ ስራዎችን እንሰራለን ማለት ነው።
Most of these local women-led organizations were self-governed with no proper organizational structure. Organized by UN Women in collaboration with the Network of Ethiopian Women's Association, or NUA, workshops and trainings were provided to women-led organizations with humanitarian architecture training, and they taught them to advocate for change, to take action, to address gender-based violence in their communities, and to know their rights as an organization.
Through NEWA, we've been able to reach out to local women's-led organizations and imparted them with capacity, through training and some institutional support to ensure that they are well positioned and actively engaged from a well-informed perspective into the humanitarian response.
UN Women supported NOAA to strengthen the capacities of 18 local women-led organizations and women rights organizations in Amhara and Afar, with a particular focus on gender-based violence prevention, mitigation, and response.
እስከዛሬ እንዳልኩሽ በኢንተረስትና እንደው በደፈናው ነበር የምንሄድበት አሁን ደግሞ ሞር ዲቴል በእውቀትን መሰረት ባደረገ መልኩ መሄድ አስችሎናል ማለት ነው።
ኢንተርናል ዲስፕሌስመንት በአንድ ሀገር ድንበር ውስጥ ሆኖ ከቦታ ቦታ
The project also used media campaigns to spread information and raise awareness about the prevention of gender-based violence. With the help of local media outlets, UN Women created radio and television spots as well as social media campaigns to reach a wider audience. One of the means the project uses to spread information and create awareness on gender-based violence is coffee corners. This is one of the coffee corners organized by the Norwegian Church Aid, or NCA. Women from all backgrounds are gathered here for a coffee ceremony.
With coffee corners, these women from the smallest territorial entity, they come together around coffee. They discuss, they chat on everything, but particularly on the topic around sexual and gender-based violence.
Coffee and coffee ceremonies provide a reason for women to get together and socialize. Working with NCA, UN Women created coffee corners using this tradition to create a space where women can regularly come together to discuss pertinent issues and their rights.
ስሜማ ሰገር ሶታው ባላለ ያው አሁን እዚህ ለማህበራዊ ኑሮ ማጠናከር ቡና ጠጡ አሰባሳቢ ነኝ አወያይ ነኝ እዚህ ስናወያይ የፕሮጀክቱ ደግሞ በጣም ጀምሮ በጣም ችግራችንን እየቀረፍን እየተወያየነ በሳምንት እየተወያየነ ችግራችንን እየፈታን ነው።
Coffee corners give women the opportunity to go out and learn about their rights. Sagad and her teammates look forward to the days they have coffee corner discussions.
በአካላዊ ጥቃትን ሳይደርስባት እየተመካከርን ነው። ግን ድንገት ገጥማት ደግሞ ሀገኘና ደግሞ ያው ወደ የሚመለከተው በገንዘብ ዙሪያ የሚሆነን በገንዘብ ዙሪያ እናግዛታለን። ወደ ህግ የሚቀርበው ወደ ህግ ይዘን እንቀርባለን። ወደ ሴቶች ጉዳይ አጣምረን ነው ይዘን ወደ ወረዳ እንወስዳለን።
The coffee corners has really been, I would say, a very strong endogenous solution from the community itself.
Through the coffee corners, conflict-affected women were able to attend sessions on a weekly basis for 3 months to complete a curriculum on gender-based violence prevention, mitigation, and response in their communities. This has helped 401 women increase their understanding of gender-based violence and their own rights, as well as the capacity to identify gender-based violence within their communities and refer survivors to available services.
በጣም እኔ ደስ የሚለኝ ነገር ሴቶችን በቃ ለምን ጓዳ ውስጥ ይቀራሉ ብሎ በዚህ ቀርጾ በዚህ ምክንያት ማህበረሰብ ማውጣት ማለት በጣም ደስ ይላል።
Through the efforts of UN Women and its partners, the capacities of both survivors and service providers have been enhanced, leading to more effective support for those affected by gender-based violence in the conflict regions of Amhara and Afar.
Well, the overall achievements I can actually sum up in 2 sentences. One, SGBV survivors who received that holistic package of services. And the second is about local women's-led organizations that before were not aware that the humanitarian response sphere is for them as well.
አሁን እየተወያየን ዲፍረት እየተሰማቸው አፍ እያወጡ ድምጽ የሌለንን መናገር ማንችለውን እየተናገርን
UN Women is proud of the progress that has been made through this project. By working with local women's rights and women-led organizations, UN Women has created real, lasting change in the conflict regions. And we're confident that this work will continue long into the future as more and more women and girls become empowered to speak out and take action to end gender-based violence.